Okay, I had to do this in a second video because I accidentally hit the stop and I don't know how to splice. So, this is his boot camp yearbook. He was in the 36th Armored Infantry, and I looked it up in Camp Polk 1942. And that was in Louisiana, is the location of it. Polk County in Louisiana. This is a postcard. Cute little old postcard. Let's see. I'm not sure for sure who it's from. It's a Dorothy Geba, but I'm thinking that it is from the original pen pal that he was talking to, and then my grandma ended up talking to him. And it's talking about him being sick, which Grandpa was sick. He had asthma, and so there's a lot of stuff in this book where he wasn't involved in much of the regular everyday stuff. But I will show you a few of the things that made sense to me when I was going through this book. Hold on. I'm going to keep rolling here because I got post-it notes. So that is the symbol of his regiment, right? 3rd Army Division. This is some of the interests to keep morale up. It says I scanned through these pictures because I know my grandpa, and I could not find him in any of this stuff, so I'm thinking he was sick quite a bit, or the asthma, you know, it took him out because he did the boot camp stuff, but you know, he had to recover with asthma. Oh, cool. First aid in the field. Blitzman, it says. This is just cool stuff to me. I loved looking through this, and I still love looking through it to see everything. Chow. Got a big, huge pile of potatoes or onions. This is just snapshots of whatever was going on in life. I'm gonna assume making fun of Hitler. Dogs of War. Alright, I'm going to go to my next post-it. Oh yeah, well, this is Company H. This is actually the company he was in, but he's not pictured here because of his health. He is actually pictured at the very back, but he was in the H Company. And then here, see, I know my grandpa. Right there's Grandpa Joe. Weis, Joe A. And he's in the additional enlisted persons. Oh, where's that picture? Hold on, I gotta find a picture of the what made me believe he's a radio mechanic. Hold on. That's right, I marked it with something different. Something from his church, Springbrook. So, I can't turn it because I already started it this way. Here's the guys wearing the headsets. And they are maybe learning SOS or something. And then down here is the radio mechanics. And this is why I believe he was a radio mechanic, because I found a lot of parts and pieces and tubes, radio tubes. We sold some of the stuff not knowing by then that it was all related. But when I saw this page, it kind of caught my attention. I'm like, oh, that's why. That's what he did. I don't know 100%, but my heart says this is what he did. He was a radio mechanic by all the other pieces of information I have found and thought of. So I have a couple of posters to show you, and then this video will be over. Hold on. Okay, this is, I believe, the whole brigade, the whole company, whatever you want to call. I don't know. The whole division. Class of 41, July. Let me start here. The buildings back then. Vehicles. It's planes. And then, of course, you got each different company. This goes on. There was a lot of people in that yearbook. A lot of people at that graduating class. Camp Polk, Louisiana. This is the whole division. I'm gonna show you of my grandpa's company. Hold on. Alright, this is his company. No, this is company E. Was he an E, not H? Hold on, I'll have to look in the yearbook, but let's go through this. I thought I remember him being in here. This was in his thing. Here's the barracks, what the barracks looked like. Just a bunch of beds with the foot lockers, mess hall. So, these were in original tubes. Yeah, there's my grandpa right up there. Right there. Oh, that's grandpa. Try not to get the glare in there. This one's a glossy. This is what the camp looked like in Louisiana. Different buildings. It says Camp View. I'm sure it looks absolutely nothing like that anymore. So that is Company E. I'm gonna get the yearbook back out because I thought by his picture it said H. Let's see. Sixth row. Unless he's under first row, considered part of first row. No. It's the very back. Second from the end. I'm not sure, but I know that's him. That's Grandpa Joe. recognize him. And he had this. Another mystery. Hold on, I'm going to get the yearbook out. Maybe they threw him in here because he was sick all the time and he had to get his picture taken, and this was like the last company to get their picture taken. So they're like, alright, get out there. Get your picture taken. I don't know. No clue. Looks like he's under service company. Service. So, I'm not sure what service company is. I was looking at the H company thinking it was service company. So, I'm not sure service company if service meant took care of services since he was mechanically inclined. It doesn't really give us a description of what service company did. But I'm assuming with the headphones, he was a radio mechanic, and he's not listed in the W's down here because he was always sick. So, I don't know. It's a mystery. See, this is the problem. Everything's a mystery. I was 2 years old when he died, and I didn't know about any of this. So all I can go off of is the pieces of the puzzle that I'm finding. But I'm pretty sure he was a radio mechanic. It would make sense, to service equipment. I also just wanted to point out that my grandpa would have been 34 years old when he went into the military. And I think that, so he was older. Most of the, unless you're higher up in the, unless you've been in the military, 34 years old is quite old for being drafted or to go in voluntary because of the war. I think 35 is usually the cutoff, if I remember correctly. So he just barely made it into World War II. So, yeah, some interesting things to learn about him. Alright, now I'm going to close this video out. Thanks, bye!